The origins of this particular activity was from visiting a textile museum in France, where there was a hand-cranked machine that made braid out of threads. And there were a lot of little bobbins, dozens of little bobbins that were moving around as you crank the wheel. And I started noticing that they looked like a folk dance that I knew how to do. It looked like the bobbins were doing a folk dance, and it was producing this beautiful braid pattern. And so I had the idea that if we had people doing that same pattern, we could see what kind of braid emerged. And it would be a kind of a record of their movement. Most people are familiar with braiding, like braiding hair, braiding 3 elements, like 3 strands of hair. It's a very simple structure. But braids in general form what are called algebraic groups, which are sets of elements together with an operation acting on the objects so that they form a closed set. It's associative, there's an identity element, and there's an inverse within the algebraic group. So braids on any number of strands form algebraic group structures. As a mathematics educator, I'm very interested in helping students learn about mathematical patterning and structuring through hands-on activities, artistic activities, and activities that involve their whole body so that they have experiences to connect the abstract concepts with. It's very interesting to learn about braid groups not only by braiding 3 strands, which are easy to work with in your hand, but working with, say, 24 strands, which is much more complicated for one person to do, but which can be achieved with a group of 24 people through a dance. The educational idea is that the experience of creating the braid and seeing what you created through your movements helps you get a different kind of embodied understanding of what a braid group is. I've done this dancing braid into being activity with a number of groups, but before we filmed this little film, I hadn't tried using organized sequence of 2 colors. We'd use random groupings of different colors and different numbers of people. But this time we tried using 2 colors so that each pair of people facing each other had 2 contrasting colors like black and white or red and yellow. And it was surprising to see that in the flat braid we created, there was a kind of sorting algorithm. So the black and white threads would first be intertwining and creating a kind of checkerboard, and then they would separate so that all the black ribbons were on one side of the circle and all the white ribbons were on the other side. Once they'd sorted themselves out completely through a kind of sorting algorithm, they recrossed each other, made the checkerboard again, and then the white was on one side of the group and the black was on the other side. So it was an interesting little discovery to see how the colors would interact, and it used a kind of mathematical thinking by putting some constraints on the colors. After dancing in a line to create flat braid, we danced in a circle to weave a dress around Ellie. Pass by the green, pass by the plain, pass by the green, pass by the plain.
Oh yeah,
Great.
Lovely dance.
totally.